Alright, so welcome back. So remember, like, subscribe, and all that jazz, and that way I also know that this is actually interesting to some people. So, okay. What I'm going to do is kind of like the same approach that I took yesterday, which is I'm going to put in my earbuds and I'm going to occasionally talk to you guys about what I'm doing. If you have questions along the way, feel free to pop those in. I may not respond right away, but I will respond in the comments section to your questions. And I'd also encourage you to check out the Positive Painters community, which is at stephanieweaverartist.com. For less than $5 a month, you can participate in these monthly challenges, and you can participate in the Positive Painter community and go to our members only Q&A, where we have once a month and I address any questions that you may have relating to art business, Photoshop, all that stuff. So okay, and let us go. I'm going to show you, in case you missed it yesterday, this is the, there you go, you can see that. So this is the still life that I set up, and you can learn how to set up that still life and actually use this reference image if you'd like. And it's also in my course, Complete Setup for a Still Life. So I've created that one, and then there's another one that I'm probably going to do. This is one that I also took a picture of that you have access to if you get into the course. And I think I'm going to do that one maybe next week, but I don't know when, because like I said, it's really impossible, I think, for female artists to have a structure, because we've got kids, and let's face it, we actually take the majority of that responsibility. So you know, we have dentist appointments, who ends up going. So anyway, that's one of the things that we're going to be doing. And this is another image that's available. And then, oh, there's another image. So you can see there's lots of cute things that even if you don't want to set up a still life, you can use some of the things that I do. And I am fine with that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put in my headphones and I'm going to start painting. I do teach a class online at 11 o'clock on how to oil paint, and that's a group of people that I keep less than 10 people. If you are an artist that would like to join a group like that, just email me at hello@stephanieweaverartist.com, and we'll have a discussion and see if you're going to be a good fit for the group. Because like I said, I do kind of keep it at 10 people, and I like to ensure everybody gets along, because it's more conducive if everybody gets along to creativity, I think. Alright, enough talking. Alright, you ready? And I would play some music for you, but YouTube doesn't like that. So this is what we're gonna do. So you can play some music of your own and watch me paint. And like I said, I'm going to call out. So what I kind of have here right now is my standard palette, and I'll just go through that real quick. I've got my black, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue. This is sap green, and I added some emerald phthalo green because that makes just a fabulous Christmas green. And then I've also my alizarin crimson, burnt umber, burnt sienna, cadmium orange medium, yellow ochre, cadmium yellow light, and cadmium yellow medium. And in the corner by itself, I also have my white. And then I added also, because usually this is the section that I reserve for special colors. So this is my Naphthol red. There's some random colors here that I've used in other paintings, so I'm just not dumping it. And, and I also have another Payne's gray, which is handy for adding in some blue-gray tints to various colors. So I like that color. And then over here, I've got my Gamsol, which is odorless, non-toxic mineral spirits by Gamblin. And I use that to thin my paint and just kind of make it move and clean my brushes. In this little container right here, I've got my Neil McGill, which is very handy for glazing. And then in this little bottom container, I'm checking to see if it's still viable. It's moving a little. I have my Galkyd. So when I mentioned in the intro about you know, sometimes the paints, one of the big complaints that people get is oil paints take forever to dry. Well, that depends on how, number one, how do you paint, thickly or thinly? And number two, what mediums are you using? So the mediums that I use are fast drying mediums, like this Galkyd. I use that on the initial layer. So the way that I layer things, let me back up. The way that I layer things is, number one, first layer is using Gamsol. So that is a thinner, it's a paint thinner. So what it does is kind of remove some of the fat that comes in with the paint. And the paint is all Gamblin products, and they put linseed oil as their additive or their binding agent with the pigment, right? So by using Gamsol, it's removing that fat and making it thin so it actually dries faster, okay? That's where you'll hear the term a lot, fat over thin. So what you want to do is start building your layers with the thinnest part first and build up to the fat. That's why I use multiple mediums. So you've got your thin layer first. That's why this background is pretty dry. This is actually from picking up something, so I'll use this finger. So you can see there's barely anything on there. So it's drying pretty quickly. And with certain colors like titanium white, alizarin crimson, those are your slowest drying paints. So you do want to add some sort of medium to them. So Galkyd is a great one. That's the one that I usually use for my second layer. So again, first layer is Gamsol, second layer Galkyd. And then once it's dry, then I'll start adding in some of the NeoMcGilt so I can glaze on and really get those distinguishing finishing touches that really go for that realism look. If you really want to extend the use and flow of your paint, that's when you add another medium that's called linseed oil. And I just use this refined linseed oil. This is something that I've had kept out. You can see it's still moving. And so I've had this sitting out for at least 2 weeks. And that's also handy to kind of dip your brush in, and maybe you want to paint tomorrow, so you can dip your brush in the linseed oil and you don't have to worry about washing your brush that day. So mediums are extremely important. There's another course that I have on my website. It's the Ultimate Guide to Oil Painting Supplies, where I go into a great deal of depth about these mediums and actually demonstrate what the appearance is in one particular color. So enough talking, I'm ready to paint. Let's do this. Okay. Alright, today I'm actually going to sit down because I'm going to be working on some details. I'm going to start down in here. I'm going to move that up so you can see. I'm going to start right here. Some of my favorite brushes right now are these Rosemary and Company long flats. They just have great bounce. They've got like really good bounce, and I like the length of it, and that way I know I'm not going to get paint into the ferrule, which will ruin the brush. So I like these long flats a lot. I'll do my best not to sing to you guys because I like my music. Okay. So this makes a fabulous green. So this is that emerald, phthalo emerald green, and a little bit of the cadmium yellow light. Just makes a really nice sparkling green. I'm gonna make it darker green, adding ultramarine blue and this phthalo. I'm gonna grab a little bit of my Galkid. Did I get any? Yeah, okay. Now I've got a monitor up here that also helps me like see what I'm working on about 20 feet away, so that way I don't have to get up all the time. So you'll see me look up like this a lot. And I'm looking down because I've got my reference image basically in my lap. Work on the red ones, adding some of this Napsol red. I'm just kind of getting a feel for what's going on. I'm going to add a little bit of this orange to it. A nice, bright, fiery red. I think I need to get more orange. There's some. Picked up a hair. Okay. I'm just kind of actually stumbling on and dabbing. Because the foil itself, it doesn't really have a pattern. And this way I can tap in the highlights because I've already taken care of the darks. Okay, I don't like the shape of that green one over here. So let me fix that. It doesn't look round. There we go. There we go. That's better. adding in those little tags. That was a little extreme. I'll grab some of my Payne's Gray right here. Touch of the ultramarine blue. Start working on this silver Hershey Kiss. This little gray right here has a hint of Nap Flower Red. Okay, let's figure out where the light's coming from, the reflections. That one I might add a little more darks too. I'm just going to use some of my Payne's Gray. I'm doing is I'm kind of softening some of the edges there, because I didn't like how that was looking. So now I'm going to go back in and kind of add in some more hard edges to get the curvature right and reflections. I'm actually going to add a little bit of purple because it's next to that green, and I think that's just going to make it pop just a little bit more. Add some of these reflections down in here too. There we go. Okay, I'm going to let that rest. What I mean by letting it rest is I'm just going to let the paint kind of settle there for a little bit because it's moving with everything a little too much. So I'm going to let that set. I'm going to go back over here and just kind of work on the Hershey Kiss banner over here. There's another little tag in here, and I'm not going to put that in there. I think it's just not necessary. Okay. Whoop, too much. Attempt to lift off some of that paint. There we go. So all I did was to lift off some of my paint was I cleaned my brush really well in my GAM saw and just gently went in. And this is one of the advantages of painting in layers like I do, is it's not really picking up the previous layer all that well. So there we go. Okay. think I'm going to come back in here, test it. Okay. And I'm going to add in some of the red. And I use a ruler to steady my hand on. So I've got like the yardstick sitting on my knee, because I am sitting, by the way. I am sitting. So I'm going to come in here. And that way I'm not putting my hand on my panel. And it's nice and steady. And I'm just going to add a little bits of red. I'm going to tone some areas down. Darken up. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing to some of these little candy crystals. Just kind of define them a little bit more. And these are in shadow. Okay. And I have another medium here, and it's called solvent-free gel. And what it does is it thickens up the paint like it's impasto paste paint or pure paint, and that way it'll leave the brush marks. And I reserve that for the final layer and for those touches that I really just kind of want to pop off the panel. An important part to remember to all these mediums is to not use more than 25% of the medium. And those have really nice thick brush strokes. If I picked up a little bit of the red, I'm just going to clean my brush and go back at it. There we go. Okay. I'm just gonna make a little pile of this white that I can easily grab that has the medium in it. Put a little bit of a yellow in it. Okay. Just kind of giving little indications of lace. And I laid the foundation of some of it yesterday with the lights. Now I'm just kind of going in and adding some darks right next to those lights. What's interesting about this is the lace, the fabric that I use in this, it's actually a pillowcase. It's kind of one of those things to remember, like when you're painting this stuff, and rarely is somebody going to go, hey, can I see that fabric? So it just needs to give the illusion that it is lace. Unless it was perfectly straight and you could see all the details in the lace and that there's a pattern in it and all that. doesn't really matter. But this is kind of a little bit messy, flowy display. So I'm just adding little spots where you might be able to see through. I'll have to check my time because I do teach here online. It's a group of us that get together every Wednesday night and Friday morning for 3 hours, and we paint. It's a great way to dedicate your time. Ensure that you dedicate your time for your painting practice. I know how easy it is for everything else to take your time. And this way you declare it. It's like going to the gym. That's why they pay for gym memberships, right? You use it, you pay for it. They don't make you pay. Like, you can go exercise right now outside, but do you? Probably not, because it's free. It's available to you at all times. And a weekly paint class is the same way. Declare your paint time. Ooh, that silver's looking good. Okay. Starting to sparkle. And if you're just tuning in, you know, what's kind of happening here is the Positive Painters community, which I'm the founder of, hi, has a monthly challenge. And this month's challenge is to paint Christmas candies. And so to facilitate that, I created a course. It's just a 5-day course on how to set up a still life, what to look for, and how to create a still life light box, and how to create a viewfinder, because you don't have to buy that stuff, you can just make it. And also how to edit your photos in Photoshop, how to create the rule of thirds grid in Photoshop. It is just packed full of helpful little things so that you can start creating your own still lifes like the one that I did right here. And then if you don't want to actually create your own still life, I have put the images of mine in there, so you can use those as well. Okay. These show up just a little bit too stark, so I'm going to tone them down just a little bit. I might add a little bit of pattern into that one because that one looks like it's allowing the chocolate to shine through, so I'm going to add a little bit of pattern to that lace right here. Just like that. And I'm listening to music. So like I said, I'm looking at a monitor up here so I can kind of see what it looks like from about, you know, 6-7 feet away, 20 feet away. That way I don't have to get up all the time. Because today I'm actually painting sitting down. Because I'm getting into a lot of the details and I need a little bit of a steady hand. A little reflective light there. Soften the edge up here a little bit. I'm gonna soften it a little too much. It's okay. Just thinking it through while I lay down my brush. There we go. Take that down a little bit more. There we go. Okay. What song is this? There you go. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit of an indication of the Hershey Kiss logo here. Not really painting it in, but I'm just adding a little bit of the blue. Just touches of cobalt blue. I'm just dabbing them in there. That gives enough information that your mind can kind of make it up. think I'm done. Okay. Maybe one little sparkle more. Let me make it a little thicker. Grab some of that solvent-free gel. This is that phthalo emerald green. Cadmium yellow light. It makes a very vibrant, beautiful green. That's what I'm talking about. Do some over here too. There we go. Liking that. Okay. Oh. Okay, this little section back here bothers me a little bit. So I'm going to tone that down just a touch. I see a lot of darks in here. And that's where I was making the indication of the lace. I'm just going to subdue that just a little bit. I want to make it look like there's patterns. So if it's lace, it's going to be patterns, but it's a little better. There we go. It's less intrusive. So my eye doesn't go right over there. Instead, it's all around in here. I'm just looking at my monitor and seeing what else I see. If you don't have a monitor, by the way, you can just take your phone. I'll do this too. So I can take a picture of it and see what it looks like. And that effectively puts me, there you go, so you can see. There you go. So that effectively puts me several feet away. And I can take a picture of it and evaluate it like that. Yeah, I think I'm done. Okay, Sure. I'll probably stare at it another day or so and make a couple of tweaks. Maybe, we'll see. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Now I'm just going to sign it. If you haven't signed your paintings before, I use a small, this is a number 2 Rosemary Kolinsky Red Sable, and you get it nice and wet in your Gamsol. And what you're doing is you're going to make your paint kind of runny, but not too runny, just to where it's like make that little line without losing paint. Okay, that might be a little too runny. Okay, I'm just going to come down here and unobtrusively sign to where nobody can read it. But I have a certificate of authenticity. If you haven't seen that video, check that video out, how to make a certificate of authenticity, and it is one of the free resources that I have available on my website. So again, if you like this, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, so that I know that I should be doing this more often with you guys, because frankly, there's the truth of it. I love, love, love to paint. And if I come on here and do this with you guys, that's just making me put aside the time, the paint time, to do this for you, and I feel a little less selfish about it, so that's great. So until next time, stay safe, happy, and healthy, and I hope to see you inside the Positive Painters community. Go check it out at StephanieWeaverArtist.com and join us there for their monthly challenges as well as our monthly lunch and learns, and then if you become a member, our monthly member Q&A. So until next time, you guys stay safe, happy, and healthy, and happy painting. Bye guys!